Shalom to everyone. My name is Alexander Goldin and I am the CEO of Alango Technologies. Today I will introduce you to PersonaSound concept, which is about making sound personal. You will know why and how sound is optimized for hearing, device, environment, content, and individual preferences. But first, why do we need to make sound personal? It is like asking, why do we need a car customization? Today, when we order a car, we can choose the color, the tires, the discs, the engine, the interior. When we receive a car, we can adjust the mirrors, the steering wheel position and angle, the seat position and even shape. One size never fits all. Unfortunately, with the sound, the situation is different in cars and in all other applications. This young musician may have golden ears, while we have our ears. He uses professional sound monitors or high-quality headphones, but we may use portable speakers or true wireless earbuds. He is sitting in a quiet studio while we may be at busy street or driving a car. Why shall we hear the same sound? One sound never fits all. So let's make sound personal. PersonaSound is about optimizing sound for our hearing, our device, our environment, the content we are listening to, and our personal preferences. All this requires a lot of technologies, but the good news is that they are already integrated into Alango audio enhancement package available to our customers. Let's start from personalization for hearing. But why do we need personalization for hearing? It's because 1 in 7 people has some level of hearing loss. That means these people may struggle to understand speech, they may not enjoy music in full, and they can miss sounds of nature. Can we help them? Yes. But we need to understand first what hearing loss is. In modern audiology, hearing loss is defined by hearing thresholds, which are the minimum level of sound for specific frequencies that a person is able to hear, all relative to a young person with normal hearing. So for young, healthy people, all hearing thresholds are zeros, and they can hear the full range of sounds. For people with a hearing loss, the thresholds are elevated, so they can hear only a limited range of sounds. The bad news is that with age, we all become hearing impaired. Some of us less, some of us more. This diagram shows average thresholds for people of different ages. We see that the age-related hearing loss is mostly high-frequency loss. The average threshold of 60 years old person at 2 kHz is just 12 dB higher. For 80 kHz, it's already 38 dB higher than normal, indicating a significant hearing loss. Do we need any special sophisticated processing to personalize sound according to a hearing loss? Can we just use the volume control for general loudness and the frequency equalizer to compensate for impaired frequencies? Unfortunately not. Hearing loss is not linear, and it cannot be properly compensated by any linear amplification. For a normal hearing person, the perceptual loudness grows approximately linear between the healthy hearing threshold and the threshold of pain. For a hearing impaired person, there is no hearing below the elevated threshold. On the other end, after some level, strong sounds have the same loudness as for people with normal hearing, and the threshold of pain remains the same. That means there is a transition region where loudness is growing much faster. You might hear the term hearing recruitment for that phenomena. Obviously, it cannot be compensated by volume control and equalizer. In modern audiology, hearing loss is compensated by wide dynamic range compressor. The purpose of the compressor is to squeeze or compress the wide range of sounds into a small range that can be heard by a hearing impaired person. Amplification starts from the maximum, bringing very low level sounds into the range of hearable sounds, and then the amplification is gradually reduced. There is no need for amplification in the region of normal hearing. In the majority of cases, hearing loss is not equal for different frequency regions. To compensate for it, multi-channel wide dynamic range compressor is used. The full band signal is first divided on frequency channels. Then individual compression curves corresponding to a specific frequency loss are applied to each channel. This diagram shows a typical high tone frequency loss. You can see that the maximum amplification is growing with the frequency. Now let's hear how it sounds when a multi-channel wide dynamic range compressor is applied for music personalization. You will hear an original music of a comfortable volume, as well as the music optimized for the average hearing loss for 2 ages. Here is the original one, mastered for young people. Now let's listen for the one optimized for the age 50. Now we'll hear how it sounds when optimized for the average hearing loss for people aged 70. My hearing is good for my age, so I personally prefer the second one. That means, while we can do some average personalization based on the age, it will be more accurate if individual thresholds are known. You can get these thresholds measured by a hearing health professional. Alternatively, we can use a hearing self-test application similar to what we developed for BeHear line of hearing amplification devices. Run the application, start hearing tones, find your hearing threshold at each frequency by adjusting the loudness slider, get your individual hearing profile, apply it to the device, and enjoy all sounds optimized for your auditory system. Now let's talk about sound optimization for your device, which may be your car, your headphones, your speaker, your earbuds, or something else. One of the key elements of music perception is the ability to hear a spatial sound. Stereo recordings are generally mastered, assuming listening in a quiet environment with good quality loudspeakers positioned 60 degrees apart from each other. But the reality may be different. For example, for headphones, the angle is much wider, with no crosstalk between the ears. For a portable Bluetooth speaker, the angle is much narrower. Also, the music itself can be mastered for a specific type of a device, while we are playing it on something else. The classical and the most often used approach to manipulate stereo image starts from calculating 2 virtual channels. The center channel is the sum of the left and right. The surround channel is the difference. Combining the center and the surround channels in a certain proportion defined by the parameter beta allows us to produce mono, original, or widened stereo image. Unfortunately, this approach rarely works well, as it doesn't take into account the content being played. Alango audio enhancement package includes stereo normalizer that dynamically modifies the stereo image according to the content to produce an optimal spatial sound for a specific device. Stereo normalizer first divides the input stereo signal into multiple frequency channels. Then, for each channel, it computes what we call dynamic stereo index for the content being played. Dynamic stereo index reflects the short time difference between the left and right channels. Small difference corresponds to a mono or narrow signal. Large difference corresponds to a wide stereo. After that, the signal is modified so that the dynamic stereo index corresponds to the target index provided as a parameter. Because the stereo image is modified dynamically, it can never spoil the original track. Another problem that requires personalization is a too wide spectral range of the audio mastered for high-quality speakers. The volume is adjusted according to the strong or average sound energy. The weak parts of the spectrum may not be heard due to the quality of the speakers, background noise masking them, or simply our impaired hearing. Alango Spectral Compounder is a dynamic frequency equalizer that will amplify the weak spectral components while still preserving the original spectrum shape and dynamics. Besides improving music perception, Spectral Compounder can also improve speech intelligibility. Here are the original voices with pure intelligibility.
This is Alango Technology. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
You should hear my voice at all times. This is Alango Technologies.
You should hear my voice at all times.
Now let's hear how they will sound when processed by Spectral Compounder.
This is Alango Technology. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
You should hear my voice at all times. This is Alango Technologies.
You should hear my voice at all times.
Another technology that can make your device sound better is bass enhancement. There are various approaches for that. We tried most of them and found that a relatively simple bass amplification with a limiter provides the best results for portable devices where bass amplification is most important. On the left, we see the original sound spectrum at normal volume without the bass boost. On the right, we see the sound spectrum with low frequencies amplified, but still below the limit. At high volume, the picture is different. When we try to amplify low frequencies of the original spectrum, they exceed the maximum level so that they are dynamically limited to avoid the speaker's distortion or the power amplifier clipping. Now let's hear how stereo normalizer, spectral compounder, and bass enhancement sound when combined into Alango SonicVibrance solution. Here is the original track. And now, after the SonicVibrance sound enhancement. It was not, of course, optimized for the sound system you are using now, but it shall give you a general impression. We've discussed personalization for hearing and device. Now, let's talk about personalization for our acoustic environment. Why do we need it? It's because our environment may not be stationary. Device settings such as volume and frequency equalizer that are optimal for now may not be relevant in 5 minutes. Here is an example. We're at home, the background noise is very quiet, and the volume is set to a comfortable level. This is how it sounds. Now let's imagine that we go outside on a busy street. This may be the sounds that we hear. The music is completely masked by outside noise. Assuming we don't have active noise cancellation, can we do something to compensate for the noises? Alango Audio Enhancement Package includes a block called Automatic Volume and Equalization, or AVQ. It uses a microphone for dynamic estimation of the ambient noise spectrum. Following that, it performs adaptive, noise-dependent frequency equalization of the content to compensate for changes in the noise. The echo cancellation block is necessary to remove a potential positive feedback caused by the acoustic coupling between the speaker and the microphone. Let's listen how it sounds when the music is emphasized, reflecting the acoustic environment. We can hear that the music is dynamically modified so that its spectrum exceeds the noise spectrum in all frequencies. We can again enjoy music in full. Now let's discuss audio personalization according to our purely subjective preferences, something that is beyond what can be achieved by a simple volume or frequency equalization, or even technologies we discussed so far. How about having a phone conversation with fast talkers? Do you have difficulties understanding them, as I do? No? But what if they speak a foreign language? Would you like them to talk a bit slower? You cannot always do it, but Alango Easy Listen technology can help you to slow them down. Let's hear it. Here is an original voice message left.
Hello, this is Robert. Please give me a call back. 972-4858-0743.
And now, let's listen how it sounds processed by Easy Listen technology.
Hello, this is Robert. Please give me a call back. 972-4858-0743.
Finally, you can write that number down, aren't you? If, like me, you are not very young and like watching action movies, you may be distracted by sound effects. Here is an example.
Just let me think! If anyone is listening, this is L26, urgent hot! Request dynamic precision strike at our mark!
Would you like to reduce the background explosions while preserving the main dialogue? Something can be done. Let's watch the same clip with sound processed by Alango Voice First technology.
Just let me think! If anyone is listening, this is L26, urgent hot! Request dynamic precision strike at our mark!
Of course, you can personalize the level of background sound attenuation according to your individual preferences. That is all I wanted to say today about sound personalization for our individual hearing, our specific devices, an environment around us, and our personal preferences. A lot of options, a lot of technologies. The good news is that they are all integrated into Alango Audio Enhancement Package of DSP software technologies. A few words about Alango, the company I founded 22 years ago. Today, we are 35 people. Our headquarters are in Israel, and we have offices in Armenia, China, and Korea. Our software makes digital sound better. It reduces noises, echoes, and distortions. It enhances voice, music, and hearing. And it improves voice communication, music perception, and speech recognition. Our software is inside of more than 75 million products, including cars, phones, earbuds, headphones, hearing aids, and conferencing devices.